Hey gang, East Coast Lumberjack here. In the shop today and working on some handles. Actually made a pile of handles, made a bunch of handles for the University of New Brunswick. They're up and going, so they needed some handles to replace some busted ones. Also another college down in the US, Eastern Seaboard, a couple of them are going to be at the Freiburg Fair on Monday, where the old boys going. So I'm taking an order down to them. 7 or 8 handles there, ash as well. So I'm finally back in the shop. Here's the hand. So it's all healed up. The thumb was actually looking the best for a bit, but then it kind of separated there a bit. But this one here was actually looking the worst, and that's when I had 9 in stitches, and it came great, which is good. So we're back in business. You can't, as Alabama sings, you can't keep a good man down. Anyhow, I want to show you a little bit of things, a little bit that I was working on here today, and I want to go over some ash. Okay, if there's anybody out there that's an expert in ash, I want to talk to you today. Okay, I want to show you some bark, and I want to show you some wood, and see if we can't get to the bottom of what's going on with some of this stuff. All good, of course. So here's I'm making these handles for a lad out in Montana, Bruno. And Bronco, sorry Bronco. But look at this handle. 32 inches of beautiful straight grain. It's just, I love making these handles. When you get stuff like this, and I'm into a good batch right now. Here's my the other ones I'm doing for him, which is a French curve. And you can see there's a lot of swing in this bad boy. But beautiful. Everything actually, these have come out just perfect. Of course, there's a little bit of a shoulder on these. There's a grain. So I just got to hone them down a little bit. So I've got one here in the vise right now. I'm just working on. Maybe I'll show you how nice it is to finish these off. Let's see if I can get this down here. There, like that. Okay, how nice it is to finish these off when that grain is so straight and perfect. So your spoke shave just goes along it so smoothly, and you can almost finish it with a spoke shave. It's that nice. It's that so you can. I started the video because I've been doing these big long 32-inch poles with the spoke shave, thinking, man, people need to see just how nice it is to work with beautiful wood. If you do, and I've said this before, if you do your work in the woods and you pick out your wood right, you read the bark right, and you get your stuff here in the shop right, this part of it becomes a joy, really. And it's why I love making handles. I'm not in the racket to make a pile of handles and to get rich or anything like that. I love making handles. And when you get one like this, man, look at that. That's with a spoke shave, and it feels just beautiful. So I'll just finish off rounding out the butt. So this is a wedge banger for him. He had an oval eye. So a funny shaped eye, and of course in the shop where you make custom handles, doesn't matter what the eye is, we can make her to fit. So anyways, I've got him lots of room up there to put a 2 by 1 oval in. So it's 1 inch square, 1 inch this way, 2 inches that way. So he can do whatever he wants up at that end. And of course, as a wedge banger, he wanted a bit of a flare, so I've got a double bit flare on the end of it. So we're just finishing up the flare. There. And I always put my signature bevel on the end of the handle. And I'll check out the handle. Yeah, it looks, I want to make sure it's nice and uniform down here so it looks good. And you can, if you want a little different shape, there's nothing to it. Just grab your rasp or whatever and shape it the way you want it. It's no big deal. my final strokes don't have to be the be-all and end-all, because it's wood. You can do anything with it. So then I go to the rasp. I'm going to round this out. I'm basically just taking out all the little rough marks on the handle, make it nice and smooth. So there we go. There's just one little flaw right here. No, well, not a flaw. It's just there must have been a tiny pin knot at one time or whatever, and the wood's grown over it. But you can see just a little itty bit. It's less than the size of a pencil lead. That little dot. If it wasn't for that, this handle would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. So they're just smoothing it out now, but man, what a beautiful handle. Yeah, it's fun to make ones like this. So anyways, just a little snapshot into how fun it is to make them when the grain's perfect and the wood's perfect and everything's going like clockwork. So a few more strokes there. So let's take a look at that. Straight as a die. Beautiful grain. Okay, lots of room here, 2 inch by 1 inch for his oval eye. Wow. Dandy. So next up is going to be the nice French curve. And I give him lots up here to play with too for his eye. So these are only 30 inches. I left lots here. I mean, that's a huge flare. So he may not need that. I'll shape that down so it fits my hand. I'm not a big dude, 6 foot, 195. So I'm fairly average. So usually if something fits, I do have a little bit bigger hand. So usually if something fits my hand nicely, usually it's good for everyone else. So now, here we are. So let me get the light adjusted here. There, oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay. So that shows up pretty good. I might say a prayer for you while I'm down here. Okay. So I'll bring it a little closer. So I've got some wood here in the basement. I just threw a bunch in. You can see here. Okay. So I've got a bunch of handle bolts that have come inside. And I've got, oh shoot, there we go. I've got 3 different sources. 3 different sources of this ash. So some came from Keswick Ridge, Kent Allen, just down the road. And it's dried for, well, it's what, 2021 is the date on most of this stuff, 2022. So it's dried for a year or 2. But I want to show you the differences in the bark. Now there's something going on. Now we do have 3 species of ash here in New Brunswick that I know of. We've got white ash, which is the most common. It's an upland species and it's beautiful for handlewood. We have black ash. Now black ash is a low-lying, it grows in lower, wetter areas. They like their feet wet. And usually they have a big brown heart. And they've got squarish, corky bark. So the bark's quite different. And then there's a green ash that grows along the St. John River Valley. Now, I haven't, and maybe I have. That's my issue. Maybe I've been dealing with green ash and not knowing it. I don't know. But what I see an ash that's almost a cross between a black ash and a white ash. Okay, and I'm still trying to figure it all out. So any of you dendrologists out there that know what the answers to this, Kenny McGinn, if you're watching this, give me a call, buddy. Anyhow, this is your typical ash bark. Okay, so it's nice and tight, and it has what I've always called them diamonds. Okay, so you can see where they come into a point here. Okay, and then you go down a little bit, and there's another point down here. So it basically looks like diamonds stacked up on one another. Okay, and if you look up the diamonds, the way to tell if your wood is twisting or not is if those diamonds go straight up the tree, or if they start curling around it. You watch the diamonds, and one goes to the other, and they actually curl around the tree. Okay, that's a problem, and I've told you that before. Bark doesn't lie. Bark tells you what the wood's doing underneath. And when you see that happening, those diamonds twisting around the tree, it's not good wood. The wood's going to do the same thing. So this is traditionally what I've always gotten for ash, and what I look for ash, because I know this is white ash. Now this is a little bit tighter grained ash, if you look at it here. Okay, so there's about a millimeter per growth ring. But it's nice ash. I know by the bark it's beautiful ash. It always is, nice and tough. Okay, so there's a couple of examples of that right here. Okay, so you can see that. Now, if you look over here to this one, okay, now this looks similar, but just a lot bigger diamonds. Okay, so this stuff here, and I didn't write on it where the stinking stuff came from. So I don't know where this stuff came from, but I know it's nice ash. Now this stuff I do know where it came from. It came from Keswick Ridge, and it's Kent Allen's ash. And you can see here the diamonds are the same, they're just a lot bigger. Now let me put these two side by side so you can see them here. Okay, so there they are side by side, and you can tell one's just a little bit bigger than the other. So this tree here was a lot bigger and older than this tree here. Okay, but the bark's the same. Okay, just a little bit bigger. So if we can agree to that, the weird one is coming up. Okay, now this is the third one here. Now some of the bark I've already knocked off because I want you to see what's underneath, but here it is here, and you can see here this is before it comes off. Okay, so it's corky. Okay, it's a little bit corky, and I can flake it right off, but it looks quite similar to Kent Allen's wood, only when you flake this off, and it will flake off. See that? Very easily. And when I flake it off, like this, if you look underneath, the other thing I notice in black ash is black ash has not what I call diamonds, it has squares or rectangles. So if you find a black ash out in the woods, when it comes up, the breaks are straight across. So they're not these diamonds, they're breaks straight across. And if you look at this, once the bark comes off, that's exactly what you see. Okay, so it's corky wood, and there's a break right there straight across. Okay, so if I keep taking this down, we're going to see that. Okay, so it's number one, it's corky. There we go. Okay, now there it is when it's off. Now when I look at that, I say black ash. But let's look inside here. Now it has tight growth rings as well, and they're less than a mil. And the wood looks a little bit mealy. One big difference I will tell you between black ash and white ash is black ash has mealy wood. Okay, it rasps easy, like it's weak wood, what I'd call weak. It's not tough wood. The white ash is nice and tough, and I know that when I'm working it because it works harder. Black ash is easy to work because it's mealy. It's soft, mushy. I wouldn't really say mushy because it's not really wet, but it's softer wood. And that's what this stuff here is. But now again, it didn't have the big brown heart. Like there was lots of room in this to actually get my white sapwood on the outside of it. I'm looking for where it came from. So anyways, is this green ash, or is this a hybrid, or is it? I know it's not black because it doesn't have the characteristic large dark center. So I'm wondering, is this green or is this a hybrid between white and black? So that's what I don't know. So anybody out there that knows that, let me know, because I'd love to know what the story is. This is the last one I have in the pile, and you can tell the bark's different on it. This is from Jimmy Dickey in on the Kingsley Road. This is oak. So Jim had a piece of oak in there. He dried out a bunch, and I'm going to make him a handle or two out of his wood. He sent me out a piece of wood. Said, "Hey, East Coast, can you make me a handle?" So I'm going to. Anyways, I threw in all this wood. I've got there's about 60 bolts here. So I usually bring it inside. I run my dehumidifier right here, and of course it takes. I got to get out of here. My wife will hang me. She knows I'm filming all the boxes down here. It's a basement. That's where we store stuff. But I keep threatening her someday I'm going to rent a dumpster and fill it up and get rid of some of this stuff, because we have stuff coming over the years. We don't need it anymore. We have no space for it. So I'm the kind of guy, let's get rid of it. If we're not using it, get rid of it. So anyhow, that's my dilemma. Is the white ash, I know, because of the diamonds and because of the wood, it's nice and tough. The same as this wood here. Like when I'm working that stuff, I know it's nice and tough. It's white ash, no question. Sometimes I get that mealy stuff. Now, oh, there's another thing I want to show you. Have you ever seen, I should do a special one on this. This here is the bird's eye maple of the ash world. So I just did one up. You can look at, let's see now if you can see it here. The light's too bright on it. There we go. I can move that around. It's hard for the video to do it justice, but this is basically a bird's eye ash. So it's got little dimples all through it, and when I work it out, so I set this one out because I want to save it for something special or someone special, or maybe both. But it's a really neat ash, and I've run across a couple of them now where they have this little bird's eye throughout it, and it's a really pretty wood. How tough is it? I don't know. It feels decent, like a nice white ash, but it's not quite as tough in my opinion. Just the way when I work it with the spoke shave and the rasp, it doesn't seem as tough as what typical white ash is. So that's the projects this week in the East Coast Lumberjack shop. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, subscribe. I still got to go out and test axes now. I did a bunch of shipment. I shipped a couple of axes out to California. They were Elwells, and I finally finished the handles for them, shaped them and fit them. And of course, where they're going is to the desert, and he has a hard time with handles with shrinkage out there. So I shaped the heads of the axe handles so it would just fit on 2/3 of the way, and then I left it, because if it's going to shrink more, now again they're leaving here. I used my moisture meter, and they're right around 6 to 8%. Okay, so you can't knock a whole lot more water out of a handle than that. But they still may shrink a little bit more, so I left a little bit for them, a little bit of wiggle room, so if they shrink a little bit more, he can just tap them on and they'll be perfect for him. At least that's what the plan is. So those ones went out. Then I got my axe order in from Tuatai, which I showed you here a couple videos ago. Well, one of those is half done, so I sent it down to my buddy Rob Spry down in the States, and he's a pretty good axe grinder. So we just got to figure out what kind of an edge we're going to put on that. I need something that'll chop that West Coast pine. So that's gone down there. So I'll be getting that one back before long. And when I get that back, I'd like to test my axes and show you. But my oldest boy is headed to the World Championships in Stuttgart, Germany. So we packed up all of his axes. He took a couple of mine. He's robbed us all of axes. So hopefully everything flies well, because all the best axes the Cumberland's own are headed to Germany right now with the hot saw and the single buck. So he's going to the World. So 1st of November, you guys want to watch it. First week in November, the World Championships on Steel Timber Sports. Ben will be there. He's on Team Canada. He's also the national rep this year. So we'll be watching and screaming and hollering from here, as I will, because I'm pretty excited he's going. And he's strong. He's looking good. They just had a baby. Yeah, congratulations. I'm a grampy again. We just had another granddaughter, our first granddaughter. So we've got 2 grand boys, and now we have a granddaughter. So anyways, lots of fun and excitement here in the Cumberland household. So anyways, subscribe to my channel. We'll be back next week with a little bit more from the Axe Handle Shop at East Coast Lumberjack.